As a chaplain for a large hospice, I never knew what I would encounter each day. One day I got a call from the office that a new patient requested a chaplain visit. Many of the patients I visited lived in poverty, in trailer parks or dilapidated older homes. So when I pulled up to their home, it was a pleasant surprise to see a fairly new two-story colonial, similar to what I was used to in Columbia, Maryland. I always made it a point not to read the medical report before the visit. I wanted to hear their story from their point of view. I was ushered into the home by a woman in her early 40s and met her husband, who was around the same age. At first, we made small talk. It turned out that the husband, the patient, was an executive, which explained the beautiful home. When the small talk ended, I asked them the question I have asked many people before: what brings you to hospice? Tony hesitated and said, I have terminal cancer. The tumors have spread, making treatment useless. I noticed that his wife's hands were shaking and her face was clouded with stress. In the silence that followed, I noticed a crate containing toys in the living room. I asked, how many children do you have? His wife, Connie, made eye contact with me and said, we have 2 children, both in elementary school. She held my gaze. I could feel her intense sadness, but also something else. The tragedy that this would be for the children, who would never truly know their father, nor would they witness and feel the love they had had for each other. They would only know the aftermath. I made a suggestion. I think it would be important for the children to be able to hear your voices and your story when they become older. I would like to ask you questions and record the sessions. You can keep the recordings for a later time. There was a pause. Then I could see a noticeable change in their countenance, which became brighter. In the next 2 sessions, I brought my microphone and a recorder. After we settled in, I started with the question, how did you 2 meet? They both smiled. Tony said that they both went to a major college that had a large agricultural program, complete with a dairy farm and a herd of milking cows. Tony had just started dating Connie, and he wanted to play a practical joke on her. Connie lived on the 12th floor of a girls' dorm on campus. Tony kidnapped a Holstein cow from the milking barn and led the cow into the lobby of the girls' dorm. He and his college friends put the cow in the elevator and sent the elevator up to the 12th floor. Tony and his friend quickly exited the dorm, and the elevator opened on the 12th floor. The cow, trained to obey, stepped out into the gleaming tiled hallway. After half an hour of wandering the hallway, the cow became stressed and started bellowing, loud moos, which at 3 a.m. was not a sound the girls were used to. The girls came out of their dorm rooms and freaked out to be met by a 2,000-pound Holstein cow loudly mooing. As Tony and Connie talked, they relaxed and talked about dating, the college, the stress of looking for a job, their decision to get married, and eventually their decision to have children. In the 3rd and final session, Tony talked about his great good fortune to be hired as a top executive for one of the area's largest employers. While Tony talked easily and freely, Connie was restrained. She seemed very conscious that this recording would be listened to hundreds of times by their children in the future. She wanted her husband to have center stage. At the same time, I could sense how appreciative she was that I got them to focus on leaving behind a recording of their family history for the future. In an earlier session, they had mentioned that their favorite song as a couple was I Used to Sing for You by Tracy Chapman. For our last session, we sang the lyrics together. Sweet and high at the break of dawn, simple tune that you can hum along to. I remember there was a time I used to sing for you. We sang all the lyrics, and at the end, there was not a dry eye in the room.